Hello everyone, I am Zishansha and welcome to Zinteractive. So beside polygonal modeling, there is another method of model any object in Maya, and that is called NURB modeling. NURB modeling is basically like taking a 2D shape and converting them into a 3D. Suppose a cylinder can be made out of a paper, you roll the paper and then that paper becomes a cylinder. So let's dive into lesson 7 and see how the NURBS modeling is being done. Hello everyone, and now we will start with the NURBS modeling. And in front of your screen you can see that I have two NURB models. One is NURB sphere and the other one is the NURB cylinder. Let me turn on the wireframe on the shading by clicking this button so you can see the wireframe here. Now in the last session when we started with the modeling, I explained that the NURBS models are usually made out of wraps, like they are like kind of patches which are unwrapped, and when you unwrap it, it becomes like a complete sort of a paper. So it's a very super flexible wrapping paper which you can mold into any kind of shape. So one of the example you can look out over here of the sphere is this one. So you can see the sphere over here, and next to the sphere you can see if I unwrap this sphere, it looks kind of like this, and when I wrap it back, so it becomes a sphere. So this is basically an example of a sphere. Okay, so this is how a sphere will look like when you will unwrap it. Similarly, you have box. If you unwrap the box, it will look like this, like complete sort of a paper, and when you join them together it will become a box. Okay. Another example of a sphere, so it's like a globe, so when you join it together or you wrap it back, so you will get this kind of a sphere. Okay, then a rectangle, so a rectangle, when you will unwrap it, it will kind of look like this. Okay, so cylinder will look like this. If you like top, bottom, you can see top and bottom here, and there is a wrapping paper, like a flat paper. You roll it like a roll, and then you place the same size on the top and bottom, and you will get a cylinder. So I hope now you have understood about the main kind of this NURBS, like what the NURBS, how the NURBS are basically, NURBS model are made. So let's go a little bit further and see how their attributes are, how we can change the attributes, and what do we have inside the attributes of NURBS objects. So simply we have to go to the attribute editor and we have to select these, any one of this one. First let me select this sphere, and you will notice that, let me deselect, you will notice that as I have turned on the wireframe on shading, you can see there are some dark lines over here. This dark lines are the seams where they are joined together, where the wrapping is being joined together. So if I click, if I select it here, so you can still see this dark line here, and let's move to the attribute editor, and we have to look for make NURB sphere or make NURB cylinder, whatever primitive we have. Now here we don't have a lot of things. We have like a very simple options over here. The first is the sphere history. We have radius here, so simple we can make it bigger or smaller. Okay, and then we have here the start sweep and the end sweep. This is basically this joint which I was telling you about. So if I start it, you can see that it is kind of cutting through that joint, and the end sweep is the other side. You can see that it's kind of cutting through the side. So basically this whole axis around it is known as the V axis, because NURBS are made on U and V. So U is the vertical and V is the one which is around. Okay, then I have here cubic. If I change the cubic to linear, so basically it will become a little bit jagged like a low polygon, but I will keep it cubic, so I will have a good like a curve, smooth curve over here, very like nice quality here. So I can increase or decrease the section around it, or you know, over it, just like this. Okay, pretty much like the subdivision in the polygons. Okay, so this is how we have more like these like settings. Now let's see how to make these Nurbs primitive. Okay, so we will start with one by one with the sphere, and then we will see how we can make the other ones. So let me remove these. Let me delete this one, and let me delete this one. Okay, now let's go to our create option here, and then we have Nurbs primitive. We have to make sure interactive creation is on. Let me click on this dotted line so I can tear it off, and I can put it here so I can clearly make here. I will take first the sphere. So basically I just have to drag and I will get the sphere here. Then I can move it wherever I want. And simple, if you will see that. Let me move it on the grid. Okay, so if I will go to the attribute editor, and then I will see the make Nerb sphere, and you can see that I have the same settings which I was like telling you about. And the same thing you can find here in this option box. If I click here, you will find the same thing, and you can create from this option as well. Okay, and after making, you can also change. If you don't want to change from here, you can change later on also. One other thing is that just like polygon, we select my moving tool. Just like the polygon modeling, we have in the polygon modeling we have components like we have vertex, we have edges, we have faces. And same as polygon modeling, we do have components inside the Nurbs model too. So if I right click over here, I can see I have here control vertex, which is same like the vertex as in the polygon modeling. So if I click over here, you will see I have these vertices here. But unlike polygon modeling, they are not on the surface itself. They are a little bit offset, but they work pretty much same as like in the polygon modeling. So if I can select any one of these, and I can move it simply around it just like this, and you can see it is reshaping. Okay, so to better understand why do we have these vertices in an offset mode, if you right click here and you go to hull, you will see there is a cage around your Nurb object. Okay, now on this cage, it's more like a polygonal like a cage. You will see there are joined or intersections. These intersections are basically your control vertices. Okay, there are more other surface paths, surface point, so we will get to these later on, but mostly the one that we use in the Nurb modeling is the control vertex. Okay, and that's all. So I'll go back to my object mode. So this is how we can change. So let me delete this sphere, and let's go to cylinder. We'll go to cube later on. Let's go to the cylinder. Now, unlike sphere, because sphere, whenever you create, you get one object over here. So let's see, like suppose, let me show you again here. So here is you have the one object. Okay, just only one object, and you can see the icon of the Nurb. But what if I make cylinder? I make the base first, then I make the height, and automatically I get the top of it, like the cap of it. Okay, now I do have a one cylinder object here, but there is a plus sign. Now if I click on the plus sign, you will notice that I have the Nurb cylinder, which is basically this paper which is around it, which is basically this part, and then I have bottom cap, which is on the bottom, and I have the top cap. Okay, which is basically this part and this part. So now I hope you have understood how it is unwrapped. So let's go to the attribute editor and then let's go to the make NURB here. Okay, now you can do these settings while you're making from this, or you can do it later on as well. So here I have start sweep and the end sweep. So if I will select the main NURB over here or any part of it, so it will stay same. So I can do that, start and end. Okay, then I have here radius, okay, big or smaller. Then the same thing, cubic or linear, so I will keep it cubic. Okay, use tolerance I have here, so I can have a much more dense like kind of like a spans over it. Okay, if I don't want to use these like the tolerance, so I can use this like a standard normal like band. So I have here height ratio, so I can change the height ratio. If I will make it 1, so it will become a more like 100% size, like a, you know, basically, oops, I have to select this one. So like a normal like a cylinder, or I can like a water tank, something like that, or I can keep it as it is, as it was. One more thing is that suppose I don't want this bottom cap, or I don't want the top cap, so I can select the top cap or from here and press delete. So still I will be able to change these settings, but now I don't have this. Okay, so later on you can also delete if you don't want any one of this, and this can become something like a glass or any object. So if I right click over here, if I go to control vertices, you can see it does it do have the control vertices as well. Okay, and it do have the hull and everything. So I'll go back to object mode. I don't need this cylinder anymore. Now let's see the cube. So I just click on the cube. First thing, drag the base and over the grid, and then drag up for the height. Now, unlike cylinder or NURB, you will not unlike cylinder and sphere, you don't see the NURB icon over here. What do you see? You see a kind of a group icon. Now if I go inside this group icon, I can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 patches. Now how a cube is made? Cube is made from 6 different patches, and each patch is here. Like suppose if I move this around, you can see that this is how a cube NURB is being made. Okay, it is made through different kind of patches. They are joined together and then they are like placed like a, you know, same thing like a wrap. So if you will see this example in the form of an image, so you can see these are the patches and then they are joined together. Okay, so this is how it works. And basically, if we will see over here the rectangles, which is kind of similar to the cube, you can see that how it is being unwrapped. So this is how you will get the your NURB cube. So if I go back to my attribute editor, okay, you can see that I have here make NURB cube over here. Okay, so if I would change any one of it, okay, suppose if I add U or V patches here, okay, which I already told you what is the U. U is like basically in the vertical direction you will get, and the V is basically around you will get. Okay, so you will get this kind of a you know like a result on all the sides. Apart from that, you will see on the top you have left NURB, like a simple for each one of these you will have the attributes. Okay, so you have for each one of these as well. Okay, so this is how you will have this. Now I don't want this, and let's delete it. Oops, I can delete, you know, whatever I want. Like suppose I don't want this, I don't want this. Let me turn on my lighting, two-sided lighting. So, and let me turn on this. So you can see, you can make a kind of a room, okay, out of this, and you know, just to show like to your client or something. So let's delete that. Now Others are similar. You have the cone, you have plane. Plane basically we did it in the last class when we were making the reference images for our sofa. So you can practice on these, you can like check them all around. Now, apart from the primitive, we do have shapes, like a 2D shapes. You will see over here, I have a circle and a square. So if I will take a circle, I can have a 2D circle shape, okay? And similarly, square is the same thing. So if I will right click over here, I will do see the same options. I will see the control vertex, I will see the hull as well, okay? But I will go to control vertices and exactly the same way it is on the sphere, it's over here as well, and it's offsetted as well. So I can move around, I can change the shape, so I can do whatever I want to do with this. So this is how you can control your shapes and whatever you want to do. Okay. Now, other than this, let me delete this one and close this. If I go in the create, I do have separate option for the curves. Okay. So what does the curve do? Curves basically make a 2D shape, okay, a closed or an open line on your viewport the way you want them. And there are different kind of curves here. Now the first curve that we have right now is the CV curve tool, which is basically the main curve tool. All of them except for the Bezier, when you create any one of these curves, okay, except for the Bezier, in the end they become the CV curve tool. Okay, so first let's see the CV curve tool, which is the main tool, which I was just like telling you. So what you need to do is that you just have to click here, okay, and let's go to perspective and orthographic, and let's go to the front viewport. So let me zoom out a little bit, because it will be better on the orthographic, so you can clearly see. Otherwise it will be a little bit angled and you will not be able to see the right like direction of it. So here what I will do is that in the CV curve, it will always make 1 point. Okay, I have clicked over here and I got this 1 point here. Now I will click on the second area. Okay, so it says CV curve, but till now it's not making any curve, it's just making a straight line. Now I will press on the third point. Still it's not making a curve. I have 1, 2, 3 points. Now as soon I will press here for the fourth point, you will see that there is a curve between these 4 points. What it do is that CV curves requires minimum 4 points, and between those 4 points it draws a curve. Okay, so I can continue now the way I want it. Pretty simple. Okay, I can click and drag if I want to move around. Okay, or I can simply click. So this is how it will being done. Okay, so if I want to end this, I have to press enter on the keyboard, or what I have to do is that if I go over here and try to close this, it will not close like Photoshop path tool or Illustrator path tool. So what you need to do is that simply you just have to press enter on your keyboard to end your drawing. Once it is done, okay, automatically it will try to make it more smoother. Okay, and then you have to go to the curves option on the top, and here you will see open and close option here. It's basically like a toggle. So if I click on any open like curve, just like this one, this is open curve, so it will become closed. So if I will click on any closed curve, so it will become opened. Okay, so and in this case what I will do is that I will just simply click over here, and you will see that based on the calculation between those 2 points, let me undo this, okay, between these 2 points, what it did was that it closed it. So just notice these 2 points and see it's been averaged out and then it is closed. So this is how you will close it basically. Okay, so unlike Illustrator and Photoshop, you cannot go back to where you started and then try to close it. You just have to simply go here in the curves. If you want to open or close, you just have to click it. So right now it is closed. If I click it, it will be open. Now I can go again back here. So if I want to close it, I can just simply close it. Okay, so this is how it's been done. So this is the CV curve tool, which is the main tool. Now we'll go to the EP curve tool. Now let's see what is the EP curve tool. Now EP curve tool, unlike CV curve tool, it does not require minimum 4 points, or it does not create straight lines and between the straight lines like the curves are made. It's not like that. What the EP curve tool is that if I start drawing with the points, you will notice that wherever I click, a curve is being made. Okay, so basically it does not require any kind of like straight line, just like the CV curve. What it do is that it just keep on making lines and curving it up, and it also does not require minimum 4 points to start a curve with. So when I'm done, I will press enter on my keyboard, and if I want to close it, simple, I can go to curves and close it. Okay, so that's all how you have to close it or open it. Now Bezier curve. Bezier curve is basically is the only curve when it is done, it is completed. It does not. It is the one that does not like become CV curve. It is very much similar to the one that you have in the Illustrator and Photoshop. Okay, so if I click on the Bezier curve, I can click one time, okay, for a sharp corner like here, and I can click and drag for anything which is smooth, just like this one. And if you have worked something like in Photoshop or Illustrator, if you have worked in on the curves, it is more or less like the same. Okay, so again, if I want to close it, I have to end the drawing, and then I have to do that from here. Okay, so this is how it will work. Now let me delete this one. Let's move to the pencil curve. Now pencil curve is basically very fine curve. You draw with the free hand whatever you want to draw, then in the end it will be converted into CV curve. Okay, so if I will draw here, it will be in the end it will be converted into CV curve. And as well, you can do the same thing here as well. You can open and close it. Okay, now each one of it, either I'm doing a CV curve, okay, or I'm doing a EP curve. So any one of these, if I right click over here, you will get the control vertex, and you can just notice in the pencil there are a lot. Okay, because it is very fine, so it will. So you have to be very careful when you're working in the pencil curve tool, because it will be very hard for you to adjust because there are more. But if I click over here and right click, go to control vertex points, I don't have more. It will be very easy for me to like change it. It's just like you are adding edge loops to your polygonal modeling. So if you have a lot of edge loops, then it will be very hard for you to modify them. So you add edge loops while you're working. Same thing is over here. So if I will go here, right click, control vertex point, so you will get the same kind of a setting. Okay, so this is how you can even after you are done. Let me go to the object mode. Even if you are done with your drawing, you can still go in the vertex mode, control vertex mode, and you can change them. Now if I will go back to the Bezier and try to make something like here, okay, and then I right click here and go to control vertex point, so you don't see only the control vertex, you also see the handle. Okay, so you can click on the handle, you can move the handle up or down, left or right. Okay, so it can be change in this way. So basically this is how you can change your like more like Bezier curve, okay, with the control vertex point. So I hope you have understood about these. Okay, so this is basically the part A of the Nurbs surface modeling. So now next class we will move to part B of the Nurbs surface modeling.